yet. We are what they grow beyond. That is the burden of all masters. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And this whole thing's a circle, but not like a real circle, more like a freaky circle. My name is Shahir Dowd.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically all of the films of 2017.
Every single one. Everything that came out.
Of course, coming in 2018. Don't worry about that. This is our 2017 year in review of our reviews of the year.
That sounds overly complicated.
It is overly complicated. I love complex names.
Can it just be the best of?
I mean, yeah, if you want to simplify
Your
it.
favorite movie of the year must have been Call Me By Your Name then.
Why?
Because you like complex names.
I think I do love complex names. Sure.
Yeah. Is Call Me By Your Name the most complex name that we did this year?
We're gonna have to see as we go down this list. How are you, Shahir?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. We just coming.
Pleasantries over. Let's move on.
Oh, I mean, listen. We do have a jam-packed episode for you. We have lots of special, wondrous guests throughout.
People, you just go up to them with a microphone and just say, "What's your favorite movie?"
Well, okay, a couple different things. We have a special interview with.
And you're like, swear to me, what's your favorite movie?
We have a guest coming up in the middle of our. Well, so what we do basically, if you haven't listened to one of these before, is Shahir and I will go down movies that we've reviewed.
Yep.
And we'll give some honorable mentions in the top, and then it's going to be our...
I have so many honorable mentions.
Great. Then it's going to be 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, building up all the way, and we'll talk about them unless we already talked about them if we ever have cross-referencing.
This is the interesting thing. Last year, I think we went for like 8 movies without a single movie in common.
That's what makes it fun. So,
well, but Matt, what do you think? How would you summarize 2017 as a movie-going year?
I would say overall, how would I categorize it?
Better than 2016?
See the monster in me or the lizard in me says yes, but that might just be because I'm more familiar with it. But I do have a visceral reaction to thinking like, yes, this is a better year than 2016.
So by that logic, 1920 is the worst year of movies, and 2017 is the best year.
in a weird not correct, but that's what it feels like way, probably.
Yeah.
But no, look, we got some, and we're going to talk about them. We got some amazing films this year, seemingly out of places you wouldn't sort of expect. A lot of different times.
I'm guessing you're talking about different distribution methods.
Directors known for other things first timers or near first timers. Like there's a lot of, and then there's some tried and true stuff in there as well. But it was definitely an interesting year.
I have so many subcategories to my reviews that I'm gonna interrupt us every now and again and just read out a list of like different subcategories that I have. But before we do that, I wanted to go over some emails. And listeners, if you are chiming in for the first time, you can email us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod, as the following listeners did. We'd love to hear your opinions, by the way, on your top 10s. We've got a few top 10 lists coming from listeners, one of which we'll be hearing from in person.
That is right. We have a special guest coming up midway through our stuff, so wait to hear for that.
And we've got another list that I'll read out perhaps when we mention one of their tweets. But first off, I wanted to mention an email that came in from Elias Synology.
The other link.
Yes, which is, I believe, his link on Twitter. This was a fairly long back and forth where they talked to us about Blade Runner, and I hope I tried to answer some questions intelligently, somewhat.
You did. I was going to chime in, but I was like, I think Shahir, I think it's you basically hit the nails.
But you know, we should talk more about Blade Runner at some point, because I do want to revisit that movie. I haven't as yet, but I just wanted to read out the last line, which I thought was really nice, from Elias. Oh my God, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. But they said, and I don't know if this is a male or a female, by the way, I don't often respond emotionally to movies. It's easier for me to engage with video games, books, and sometimes TV shows. I think the common denominator is not being able to finish the story in one sitting. It's more powerful when I receive narrative in chunks. Moreover, video games require active participation and books require actively constructing the scene in my head. Mm-hmm. With movies, all the work work is done for me and my brain just shuts off, which is exactly why I sought out your podcast. I wanted to practice critically thinking about and actively engaging with movies. Thanks to you guys, I'm starting to develop a sense for detecting what a movie and its creators are trying to tell me through the language of film. I owe a bit of my personal growth to your podcast. Thank you both for doing what you're doing.
That's the sweetest thing.
It is the sweetest email. Thank you so much. We appreciate. I want to say as well, I really appreciated your Blade Runner question, because it also forced me to think about that movie. Because like what happens over time is that you think about films slightly differently the further you are away from them.
Right.
And I have grown to, I think, dislike Blade Runner a little more the further I've moved away from it.
Yeah.
But your question actually prompted me to rethink about it, and I want to go back and watch it now, and maybe my opinion will change, because I've definitely had that experience where a film I've actively disliked the first time, I've come to appreciate the more I watch it.
Yeah.
So thank you again for that email. It was very, very sweet. We appreciate that, and please keep listening, and please keep writing us questions.
That's all. Yes, please do. Also, we've been getting some lovely reviews on the old iTunes box. You can rate us on iTunes if you'd like. 5 stars would be preferable, but go with what you feel. We have a beautiful one from Chuck. He says, the only podcast about movies is fantastic. I just heard about it and I've loved going through all the older episodes. Give it a listen. I'm curious, Chuck, and you can email us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. You said, I just heard about it. Where'd you hear about it? I'm just curious who was it just me standing on my roof in Queens?
Yeah.
Just yelling.
Only movie podcast. I was on a panel last week, and I had to, they said, oh, where can we find you? And I plugged the podcast, and it took me 2 or 3 goes before I actually got the name right. I was like,
Shahir's our marketing genius.
I know. I was like, only movie pod, and I was like, no, wait, that's not it. It's only podcast. No, and then I was like, in front of this crowd.
Good. I'm glad.
I'm like Hugh Granting that
but
shit.
Chuck, thank you so much for your kind words. They mean a lot, and keep on listening. We'd love to have you. We also got some tweetly tweets.
Yes, we did.
Tweedly deedly deed.
Laura on Twitter, who's one of our favorite listeners, we love having you on, Laura, has tweeted at us about our Call Me By Your Name review.
2 weeks. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yes. And she had this to say, which I think is interesting. Interesting episode for Call Me By Your Name. I guess I understand where Matt's coming from, but it did not have the same effect of me. Was wondering why this kind of magic trick thing worked for Matt and Mother as opposed to this film. I know Mother is very bold and anything but subtle, but I felt these moments worked in Call Me By Your Name. They're indulgent moments for sure, but the movie's about exploring indulgent tendencies. So they did anything but bother me.
Right.
And so if you haven't listened to that review, basically we talked a lot about I loved that movie, but there were things that didn't quite work for you, Matt.
There were things that didn't work for me, and without getting too much into it, I too really liked that movie. I said in the initial review that it was a roller coaster ride for me, being like, oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, I really like this. Oh, I don't like this. Oh, man. And by the end, I came out on a very positive tip, and I think the ride is what sort of got me there. Right. The things I was just saying was it definitely, and just sort of responding, and I'll get into another tweet we got in a second, but the reason I think, Laura, that I guess the quote magic trick being I
think it's you had a thing about
well, you used the term before. I kind of took the magic trick. Like if you see a magic trick done over, this is outside of films. If you see a magic trick done over and over and over again, and you kind of learn how it's done, that it has less of an effect. And I believe, oh God, I hope I'm getting this right. I believe what I was referencing with using that terminology I snagged from you, Shahir, is the times in which sort of a twofold thing when the movie started almost having things happen in it that referenced what was going on with the main characters, and also a bit of the fly. There's some flies, digital or not digital flies, put in whenever there's the itch in someone's mind of a thing, and the reason I think I guess the magic trick. I don't think Mother.
I think magic trick is
it's the wrong word.
It's the wrong word for this.
But I'm just trying to the reason why I think those type of things don't work, at least in Call Me By Your Name. I think Mother and Call Me By Your Name treat these things very differently. I think that you're absolutely right, Laura, that this film is about exploring indulgent tendencies, but the pacing and the way that it's built around, I felt like would have been much stronger if they didn't take those little alleviated moments to read literature that's exactly about what's going on in the film and then go back to what's going on in the film. And things like that took me out of it, where Mother, if we're calling these both, and again, trick's the wrong term, but magic trick. Mother takes its trick and just not only like it, yeah, sure, it does it and it does it more and more and it reveals more and more of its hand to you as it goes, but it just cranks it to 11 and does something. It basically, if Call Me By Your Name, its trick is riding this emotional knife's edge where it is very subtle. And I have problems when the subtlety is just kicked out for blatancy, where Mother just decides, nope, it's rub and blatant. And oh my God, and did it stop? Yep, nope. Oh my God, there's a baby. What's happening? Like it gets very, it's super intense for that. So again, while I just wish there was small things, and you know what? This is the weirdest thing, Shahir. Mm-hmm. I will say this. I didn't like the things in Call Me By Your Name that I'm calling out in this, but I don't know if I would have loved the movie as much as I did on a whole if those things didn't exist to take me on this ride of like, am I really liking this experience or not?
Right. And I guess my point was, none of those things ever detracted me from what was the overall experience, right. and I think that was the tricky thing. I want to come back to Laura after you read out the next one.
Right. So this sort of brings it into it again, and I think it's important, dear listeners, if we do something that you feel critical of, please let us know. Tweet at us at Only Movie Pod, as Joseph did. He said, finish the podcast, and the reactions are more revealing of our individual personalities rather than the picture. Matt is entitled to his opinion. Thank you, buddy. But it seems more determined to find things to be loud about, whether they were debatable, deliberate or not. Sorry. While Shahir is obviously more the contemplative thinker, he continues on, I believe. You replied to him, and then he says, this is by no means a criticism, but Shahir is eventually more attuned to trying to understand something, while Matt just seems full on id. I take that as a weird compliment, but
because they make your favorite video game.
No, they're not my favorite, but Doom, the new Doom is good. You want to talk about id from id? It's the new Doom. It's interesting because I don't. Oftentimes I'm loud, and we both of us fall into the discourse, Shahir, of getting semantical about things.
I'm always up for semantics,
but I don't particularly agree with me just not liking a thing to be loud about this. I feel like I've actually gone back and listened to the episode, and I feel like, again, I don't expect anyone to full on agree with my opinions all the time, because that'd be silly, because I say silly things. But once I've said my loud piece, I do always go back and I feel like I'm as clear as I possibly can be as to why I'm feeling about a certain thing. And so I maybe on the surface, if for instance I'm loud initially and that turns a person off from listening to my opinion later on, I can totally see that. But I will say a little bit in my defense is I do feel like I laid out the reasons why I had these slight problems with the film fairly clearly. And I always find it fascinating. Like, again, I will go on record saying it was a great film. Like, I really enjoyed it. But people do take umbrage sometimes when you call out a fault that even you feel in a thing that otherwise, and it would affected them in a purely positive, or at least not positive is the wrong word, but a purely effective way.
Right. I mean, I think I just want to point out one thing, which I replied to Joseph about that, and again, thank you for
Joseph, this is by no means a slight to you. I love having the discourse about this. That's why we talk into this ether. Hopefully you people will come back.
And I think the thing that I wanted to point out there is something that he said at the top, which is that the final review is more of a reflection of our overall personalities. And I think that's something that we actually really do actively try to do, because in my opinion, again, I think we've talked about this on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
Is that we're not here to review a film, although we will give you an opinion about whether you should see it or not.
It's still our opinion.
It's our opinion. And also what Matt and I have very, very different taste. If you've listened to any episode.
What are you talking about?
This list will probably exemplify that. And the thing that I think that makes the show work, if I can be self-referential about our show for a second,
do it,
is that we are coming at cinema from very, very different places, and we're kind of interrogating our responses to it from very different places. But that doesn't mean that one is right or one is wrong. It's just that and also it doesn't. I think the thing that's important there is I think at least I hope from my point of view that this comes across is we're both very honest about our opinions. Like we're not ever kind of sugarcoating what we like and also actively trying to destroy something that we don't like. So I think I just want to point that out as well. Is that we do have very, very different opinions about, like, I don't think you could put two people in a room who have the more polar opposite reaction to movies, so I think, and I hope that's what listeners enjoy, because we should hopefully get listeners from both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
I want to come back to Laura just quickly, because she also wrote us in with her top 10 of the year.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going to read it out really quickly, because we're
so many numbered things coming up.
And we're going to jump into our top 10 right after this, right?
Well, our honorable mention, Shahir.
Okay, and I'm just going to read out Laura's list very quickly, and this is going from 10 through 1. So 10 would be Columbus, a movie by Coconada, which we haven't reviewed, but I would love to review that. I'm very interested in what that director has got coming out soon.
Cool.
Get Out. It's Get Out. Faces Places, the Agnes Varda documentary, which I wish we had seen. I wish I've seen more Agnes Varda documentaries. I've seen a few of her things early on. I think Cleo from 5 to 7 is probably the main one I remember. Baby Driver, the most rewatchable movie of the year. Raw, which is a film I think we would both dig and we haven't seen, a French horror film. 3 Billboards, nominated for an Oscar, so there is that. The Meyerowitz Stories, the Noah Baumbach film, which might be a good companion piece to Lady Bird. A Ghost Story.
I want to see that so bad.
I'll come right back to that in 1 second. Call Me By Your Name is her number 2, and Lady Bird is her number 1. She wrote us a lovely email about seeing Lady Bird with Greta Gerwig in the audience. So
that one's telling me.
Thank you so much, Laura.
Yes, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, everybody who gets involved in our little movie discussion time.
Yeah,
it's very fun.
Before we do, I think maybe just back ending off Laura. Before we start our top 10 of the year?
Sure.
What was the best film you saw this year that we didn't review?
Oh.
Have you got what was the best thing you saw that for whatever reason didn't come up on our podcast? Have you got anything like that? Maybe the best thing you saw is on our podcast.
Well, it is.
Oh, there you go.
I'm trying to think of something off our list. I mean, truth. I'm a little stumped.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I've got 2 of them. The best film I saw this year that came out this year, or 2017, that we didn't review, that I wish we'd reviewed, was A Ghost Story. The David Lowery film.
You did, yeah. See, I didn't see that. I wish I did.
It is phenomenal. It took my breath away. I fell in love with it in every facet. I think it's just a work of genius. And then I watched a lot of older movies as well. And the best older film I saw this year was The Kid with the Bike, the Dardenne brothers film.
Gotcha.
Which I watched 3 times this year because I watched it and then I showed it to someone and I watched it again after that. I'm now a big fan of the Dardenne brothers. Anything that you saw that you maybe it's not, maybe everything the best thing you saw is on our podcast. I
think it honestly is. Like, okay. There's movies I saw that like we didn't talk about officially on here, like Jumanji, which actually we'll get into.
Right.
But I honestly don't have one. And if I have one, I've spent too much time thinking about this list.
Yeah.
To think of it. If I think of it as we go,
okay.
I will whip back around.
Okay.
But
who's going first? You or me?
Let's go. Let's do honorable mentions. You have more than me, so maybe I just do honorable mentions first.
Okay.
And then here we go. So my honorable mentions are fairly tame in
mine
comparison.
Are not.
Honorable mentions. First and foremost, The Big Sick.
Okay.
We talked about it a lot. Great film with great diversity. Also unconventional for Hollywood sort of love story, because I do believe that no actual love story is really conventional. And it's nice that it was sort of, it was a bit of a true story too, and I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Also, Get Out is in my honorable mentions. It just
hot take.
It reinvigorated the horror films for me, which is great. Mm-hmm. It made me highly uncomfortable in all the ways possible that you can in sort of situations like that, and it solidified George Jordan Peele as it blew him out of the incredible wheelhouse of Key and Peele.
Yeah.
And now I'm so psyched to see where he goes, so that makes it great.
There's a lot of stuff coming up.
And also, just my other two were Wonder Woman and Spider-Man Homecoming. Both honorable mentions. Yeah.
Okay.
Wonder Woman, obviously proof as if we really needed it that a woman could lead a blockbuster. Aliens, what up? Also, the honest portrayal of heroics that isn't all entirely punching until the third act. And then the only good thing the DCEU has going for it. And Spider-Man.
That's an honorable mention for sure.
Yeah. Spider-Man was just the first true Marvel Spider movie since the Tobey Maguire days. Tom Holland is the best yet. And Spider-Man, it takes Spider-Man it basically makes him fun again without destroying who Peter Parker is or negating any of his struggles. So I really did enjoy all those films, though they did not make my list.
I got to say, my list, so unlike previous years, I would say this has been an excellent year for film. And the point that I wanted to make there is that my last year, Moonlight was my number one film.
Yes.
And it was like, without a doubt, this is the best film I've seen this year. There's no question here, and everything else is after Moonlight. This year, you could switch all of my numbers all the way around, and it would be totally acceptable. They're all over the map. I'm switching things right before we're speaking. The two films, and this is going to be a hot take, that these were on my list for the longest period of time, and then I was like, I've got to cull these, are Lady Bird.
Whoa!
Lady Bird honestly could be the number one film I saw this year, but it's not. It didn't quite make my list. But when I
then it couldn't be. Then there's 13 or 14 other ones in front of it.
I could switch them around and be happy.
That's not how this
I have
list
reasons
works.
for other. No, I have reasons for every other film taking a spot over Lady Bird.
Sure.
And some of them aren't because they're better movies. Lady Bird is an excellent film, and I was like, it was difficult for me to remove it, but what it came down to was, what is a film that I personally love, and I love Lady Bird, but not as much as I love some of these other films, and that's a weird.
You love it, you're not in love with it.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do. The other one was Barry, the Vikram Gandhi.
Oh yeah,
film.
our first review of the year.
First review of the year. For the longest time, this was on the list. This was like, I love this film, and the thing is, I think Barry and Lady Bird are actually a perfect pair of movies because they're both coming of age films about young people trying to figure out their identities. One just happens to be Barack Obama, and the other is Lady Bird. So those were my two that I took out, and I know, Laura, Lady Bird was your number one film, and honestly, it could have easily been number one or number 10 on my list.
Who are you going to agree with on Twitter now, Laura? Huh?
Last year I made this thing, because we do review films that came out the previous year.
No, you do that. There's no we. You do that.
No, well, we review films that came out the previous year, right?
Yes.
And then the question is can those films now appear on our best
And
of
you
list?
cannot.
Why not?
What do you got?
I took these films out because I was like, okay, because honestly, there were too many good ones. And these two films, again, could easily be number one. The reason I took out OJ Made in America, which honestly could be my number one film of the year, or film in quotation marks, is that I think I've already celebrated that film in our Test of Time episode.
Yes.
I think I've already talked about how much how important I think that film is, and how much I think that will stand the test of time. The other one is American Honey, which is Andre Arnold's film, which I just fell in love with in the same way that I fell in love with The Kid with the Bike. It's just an incredible piece of Americana. But moving on, my number 10 film.
Hold on, before you do, don't jump in.
We got a lot of preamble here.
Preamble and guests and things. So honorable mentions before we just finished those up. So ladies and gentlemen of our little podcast community, I threw a little New Year's Eve party this year. It was impromptu at the Only Podcast Studios.
Hey, guess what? It's New Year's Eve. Come over.
Basically, that's what it was. Shahir sadly was busy because I was a slacker. But throughout the evening, I invited people into the studio and to talk about what films affected them.
Come into my boudoir.
Yeah. Come in here. It's fine. There's candy.
Yeah.
Basically, to talk about the films that moved them or their favorite films of 2017, because I kind of wanted to get just sort of like people that don't just talk about movies all the damn time, what they thought.
Okay.
So the first one is from my friend Elle, and she had a
Good name.
an interesting take on her favorite film. Let's listen to this.
There were a lot of really great movies in 2017, but my favorite would have to be Jumanji.
Holy shit. Really?
I know.
Okay.
So first of all, it has, minorly to do with video games.
Sure.
But really why you see Jumanji, let's be honest, is The Rock.
Okay.
So Jumanji, the original, was really fucking scary, let's be honest.
It's scary and it's dark and it deals with a lot of adult sort of things in a kid's movie.
Exactly. And what I think we need in this day and age is levity. And so what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does with both, I think, Baywatch, which was released earlier this year, and also Jumanji, is he brings levity to it. Life in and of itself is hard. It's challenging. It is rough. There is hustle. There is flow. There is just trying to get through it. But in that, life is also really fucking fun. And if you want to see a really fun movie, you should see Jumanji.
So I do kind of want to see Jumanji for that reason. I've heard it's a lot of fun. Now the Rock, yes, look, I follow The Rock on the Instagram, and every day
on the Instagram?
On the Instagram.
Wow.
I follow The Rock on the Instagram. And he is a daily source of inspiration.
Sure.
I think he is charismatic in ways that few people can actually be on screen.
He's the physical embodiment of charisma, 100%.
Yeah, but I'm curious about the Jumanji extended universe.
Look, I've seen Jumanji, and Jumanji was fine. I think the reason I didn't really connect with Jumanji was because it was so different from the film it originally sort of spun off of.
Right.
If The Rock did a random jungle theme to get sucked into a video game movie, maybe I'd be more on board with it. It was silly and it was fun and it was fine, but it definitely didn't crack even my honorable mentions. But I do. This is something I wanted to bring up because obviously Elle and I didn't really agree on that. Shahir, you and I were talking even before we started recording that there's this growing disparity between critics and average film goers and fans.
Yeah.
And
I think the movie in question is the Netflix film Bright, which we haven't reviewed.
Yeah.
There is a Netflix released a document which said that although Bright scored very, very poorly with critics, it scored very, very highly with audiences. And there's been a few films like that this year. I think I believe. No, it wasn't Wonder Woman was one of those.
No, Jumanji though.
No, but there was Jumanji, and there was another film that really scored poorly with critics, but really did well at the box office. I can't recall which film it is right now.
Yeah,
and it points to this idea that critics are out of touch with audiences, and audiences are out of touch with what critics think are good.
Which again, I go back to the fact I love these are reviews that aren't reviews that we do. We just talk about a movie and how they make us feel. Elle, thank you so much for giving us your top movie of 2017.
And you know what? From a purely monetary point of view, she might be on the money.
She is on the. She's 100% on the money. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
All right, number 10, Shahir. Do you want to go first?
Yes.
What's your number 10 film of 2017?
My number 10 film of 2017 is drum name, please. As I Google the director.
Drum name. Drum name, please.
I think I might be like.
Are you having a stroke?
I think I might be having a stroke.
I'll watch out for it.
No, my number 10 film is Your Name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
By Makoto Shinkai.
Hell yeah.
The number one film in Japan this year, which is a film I revisited towards the end of the year. I remember loving it as we watched it, and then rewatch it and going, this is really a phenomenal piece of work. It is being picked up for a remake right now. I believe J.J. Abrams is behind the remake rights to it. Maybe. Great. I mean, who knows? They probably just pick up the rights for anything. But this is an astonishing. You know what it is? Sometimes you watch manga or animation films and think, oh, the thing to watch is the animation here. The reason to go into this is because of the animation, which is a lot of times, maybe why we watch Pixar movies.
Well, it's even from a financial standpoint. You can't do a lot of times when something's animated, it's animated because it'd be way too expensive to do it in real life.
The thing is, this is an extraordinary screenplay. Mm-hmm. This is an extraordinary piece of storytelling that has that is exciting as the best blockbuster you've seen this year, and as heartfelt as the most emotional film you've seen this year. And it weaves together one of the most intricately complex stories in a way that seems so effortless.
And it ties it in with like cultural norms of different time periods, and like it's great. I own the Blu-ray. It's lovely.
Oh man, I'm gonna borrow that.
Not until you bring back Logan.
There you go.
No, that's a great number 10.
It could easily move up the list.
So okay. Let's before these are ours. These are you've made a commitment at this point.
Yeah.
Nothing can move.
No, these could all move. I'm saying that because the numbering is entirely arbitrary. These are all great films.
That is not true. The numbering is important. And yes, they're all great films. Of course, there's hundreds of films released in the year, and these are the top 10.
These are the 10, and they could be 10 in any order. I could have started at 1. Maybe Your Name was my number 1. If I reversed my list and looked at it, the list still makes sense to me. It's a perfect palindrome of a list.
So that means number 5 is definitely your number 5, no matter what. 5 and 6.
No, it could be number 1.
Okay, then you don't understand how lists work. All right, let's move on. Mine, a little bit. Here we go. My number 10. And this is going to be probably my most controversial pick.
All right, hit me.
Is the Overwatch animated shorts in particular?
Fuck you for all your bullshit about this is not a movie and don't do this and go fuck yourself.
Rise and Shine in particular.
One short film is your number 10 short film.
Well, we make rules about
and Rise and Shine, is that one that we reviewed?
Oh, no.
No. Whoa. That's not one that we reviewed.
Touché.
Yeah.
Huh. But the episode came out that's an interesting thing. So I guess, okay.
Because I haven't seen it. We haven't reviewed it. We haven't talked about it on this podcast.
You know what? Duly noted. And so here's the deal. I will concede. I will take that off my list, and I will move.
It's all happening here.
I will move.
This list is hot.
I will move. Hold on. But this is important.
It's going to be honorable mentions going to jump up?
Yeah, it is. Because rules are important. I'm going to move Get Out. I'm going to move Get Out straight up to the number 10 slot. Because rules are important, and if we're making a list, then the numbers do matter, Shahir, and now I'm adhering to the rules, so you have to as well. Get Out now.
Turn this around on me because you picked the movie we haven't reviewed.
Exactly. I mistakenly broke the rules, and now I'm fixing it, whereas you're like, oh, any of these numbers, 7 could be 3, and up is down.
Wait, but that's an opinion. I just said that could be true. I'm not saying you're saying number 10 is my number 10.
Yeah, okay. Are you saying for other people, not like you're wishy-washy about your number system?
No, I am wishy-washy about my number system because I don't think I think the numbering is arbitrary. I've made this list, but I'm saying Your Name could easily be number 1 if I wanted it to. I just chose not to.
Right, but you understand that when you're listing a thing in this particular
let me explain it to you in a way that maybe you can understand. Okay. Which is last year, Moonlight was clear and away my number one film. There was no question about it. Yes. Everything else came below that. This year, what I'm saying is all of these films are so good, and I love them all for different reasons, that if I took my number 5 and made it my number 1, that would make sense to me. If I took my number 7 and made it my number 1, that would make sense to me.
And I understand that. I understand that concept completely.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, especially because I'm getting called out on the rules that I set.
Well, just because but yours was far more egregious than me saying 100%. I love films.
100%. But I'm rectifying my mistake.
Okay.
Because we're all human and we make mistakes. I've now changed my number 10 to be Get Out, which I do think is a fantastic film. I talked about it before. It literally got me interested in horror again.
And I don't disagree with your Overwatch thing. You could have picked the whole Overwatch series, by the way.
But it's fine. My only point about the rule structure of this, and we talked about this sort of off podcast before, maybe when we sort of developed this thing in the years before. The reason why you do a list, and yes, on a conceptual level, a ton of mine could move around. But I thought long and hard about if I have to, because we've built this structure, put things in an order that I would say, yes, intrinsically, number 1 in my mind at this current point in my life is better than number 2, and so on. That's what this exercise is.
Okay.
So to just say, no, that's not, we said this is what that exercise would be, but it's not really that exercise. It's a little bit dismissive. So
what's wrong with being dismissive of a top 10 list, which means nothing?
Because we made it mean something. Anyway, again, semantics. But I'm
Like I said,
rectifying.
I'm always up for semantics.
I'm rectifying my situation.
Okay, so Get Out is
Get
your
Out
number
was
2.
really, really. I mean, God. I mean, if everyone's
But
seen
not
it.
as good as an Overwatch short film.
Rise and Shine gave me more overall feels in a weird way. But again, I won't talk about it because it's not on the list. Let's go. What's number 9?
Number 9 for me is Nacho Vigalodu's.
You have to get the name right.
I got it wrong. Colossal.
Yeah.
I really, again, this is a case where, for example, you could easily make the argument that Lady Bird is a much better film than Colossal, and I would not disagree with you in any way, shape, or form.
But you did because your list is put the other way.
Because Colossal to me was one of the most original visions I saw this year for a story, and I think the thing that I loved about it was it took the giant kaiju monster kind of scenario, and it infused it with an emotional story that really had a lot of heart, and it made sense to me, and it was beautifully rendered. Again, I just it has flaws. If you recall, our guest CJ Johnson on that episode hated the film. Absolutely loathed it. So I can completely understand that. My point here is that this movie surprised me in ways that I was not expecting, and it captured me on the sheer force of its originality.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely has issues. And I always find a lot of people that I've spoken to even since our review just didn't like it because it seemed like after I talked to them about it, they just don't like Anne Hathaway. And I'm like, okay,
strange thing.
Okay,
but,
like cool. Like you remember when she was the darling and the haterade train rolled around for no reason whatsoever. Yeah. Like it just felt like they're like, oh, she's just like trying too hard to be like Anne Hathaway. And I was like, what the hell are you?
It sounds like a high school lunchtime beef.
Yeah, 100%. No, that film was great. My number 9.
Okay.
Is your boy Taika Waititi, Thor Ragnarok.
Excellent, bro.
Listen, it brought fun back to Thor. Thor was fun in the Avengers films, but he very rarely was fun in his own films when he wasn't like fish out of watering real hard. It was honestly, if I'm looking at like just nothing else around it, pure fun at the movie theater this year, that's what it was. Like that was the most fun with no emotional resonance whatsoever film, the best ride I took.
And I would the thing for me about Thor is it's exactly right. It is, and it gets so much right that I feel that a lot of the Marvel movies miss on a fundamental level, in that I just enjoyed the ride. I was willing to go along with it. I didn't think much more about it, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself at the movie, and I think it's a true testament not only to him but maybe to the way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is opening up, because I had another list that was like movies that were way better than I thought they were going to be.
Yep.
And Spider-Man Homecoming and Thor Ragnarok were on that list. There are a couple more, but I don't want to hold you up.
Not yet. No, and then it just proved yet again, like kind of like what you're saying, that properties, when given the right directors with sort of minimal rein pulling, can make all the difference and make it sort of feel like something you're going to remember. And hopefully Marvel does embrace this, because as more and more properties get in here, they're all going to start feeling samey. And if the game is to make a film that can link to a film that could link to a film, you need to make those individual films still feel like individual films.
Yeah.
And Thor Ragnarok, for all of its sort of grandiose tie-inning, still felt like its own film.
Yeah, it really does. It's kind of a it's a marvel.
It's a marvel.
That film is a marvel, and it swung my opinion on what those films could be.
Yeah.
Good. So it is really that good.
Number 9. So now I want to toss to some more friends from the party, my friends Babe and Leo, who talk about one film that we've talked about before and one we haven't yet.
You guys have great names. Babe, Leo, L.
Yeah.
What is this?
They're good. Here they are.
I mean, I'm trying to remember what I said. I mean, I loved Get Out. Everybody loved Get Out.
Sure.
Also, I really liked Mother, and I feel like that is a very divisive film. Has anybody talked about that so far
Not
today?
yet. I loved Mother. I have it on Blu-ray. I asked for it for Christmas. Mom was like, should we watch it? I was like, no.
That sounds like a fun family film.
No.
I personally loved it. It was interesting because we saw it together, and we had very different like visceral reactions to it. I really enjoyed it, but it's like it's an upsetting movie. Like it's objectively like very upsetting. But I loved it, and I just
after we got out, she was all very cerebral about it.
Yeah, analyzing
talk about it and everything, and I was just like, no. Just no. The only thing I think I said
was no,
for a half hour was just no.
Yeah.
And she was like, you hate it? And I was like, no, actually I didn't hate it. I respect that it made me feel a very powerful response. Like, emotionally, I just felt like vomit, like emotional vomiting.
Yeah.
And claustrophobia, and like I couldn't breathe, and all these different kinds of physical things. But then I don't even know if I could look at Jennifer Lawrence like in person, like eye to eye now after the film. I'd just be like, nope. Please don't show me like a crystal piece that you're holding in your hand. Like I don't want to know anything about like nothing. Just it made me close off emotionally and like psychologically. I was just like, no.
That's fair. Leo, what's your favorite movie of 2017, or the one that was gave you the most feels in a good or bad way?
Honestly, it was Get Out. I really think that we were talking about it for weeks afterwards, and it was just like such a it doesn't really fit into like a horror genre.
But I think any good horror movie kind of breaks the rules, and I feel like this is in keeping with that. You know, where like Scream or even like Carrie. You know, Carrie was like mind blowing at the time, and Carrie is one of my favorite, not just favorite scary movies, favorite movies of all time, and that has had a lot of significance. Yeah, which is still true now. You know, it's about bullying. You know, and like cruelty and like how it creates monsters and whatever. And so I feel like this movie is very. It's very obviously of the time, but I would argue that any good horror movie is of the time and does play into the zeitgeist and does reveal crazy shit that's happening. So I feel like it's brilliant in the sense that I feel like it's like we're watching a classic in real time.
Leo, babe, thank you so much for joining in our little conversation. Get Out and Mother.
I'm surprised they didn't do Baby Driver, given one of their names is in the title.
Well, part 3 letters out of the 4.
Yeah, great choices. I feel like they're going to be movies we're going to talk about a little bit later in our list.
I'm sure. Let's get to our number 8, Shahir.
My number 8 is Bong Joon-ho's Okja.
Oh, yeah.
The first Netflix film on our list. A film that it's strange. I think I was talking to Annie Gillies about this, and we talked about the first half of this movie where it's just Okja and the little girl wandering around a forest, and I was like, I could honestly watch just a movie of that. Yeah. And then the fact that the movie goes big and crazy after that is extraordinary. Bong Joon-ho is amazing. I love Snowpiercer. I love his film Mother. And I love one of my favorites is Memories of Murder. Look, the only thing about this film that didn't work for me is an actor who I really love, and that's Jake Gyllenhaal. And I think he was the only thing in this film that just didn't quite land. And it wasn't, look, I appreciate that he tried something. I just didn't respond to it. And I felt like it didn't quite gel with the rest of the film, which is why it could, again, this movie could move easily up the list or lower on the list, but I think there's an extraordinary piece of filmmaking, and the fact that it came out on Netflix, it was available to watch right away. Yeah. It was one of the best movies that came out that month, and you could watch it at home for $7.99, including 1,000 others.
I know. I think what got me though, I think Jake Gyllenhaal tried to do what Tilda Swinton does in a lot of her roles. That she did here, and he just didn't. Even if he pulled it off, she pulls it off better, and it puts it in stark contrast of what he's doing. And
compare it to Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight, for example.
Yeah,
it's just it's some people And I have no.
It could be the directing. It could be anything. But I just think it just something felt a little off. But the movie's great.
Yeah, it is. It's terrific. Yeah, it really is heartfelt, funny, of the moment, so to speak. You know, it's great.
My number 8 film is not as politically charged. My number 8 film is the Lego Batman movie.
That was also on my list of
honorables
of movies that were way better than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I'd have fun with this, but I've watched it a couple times since, and you get even out of the funny Easter egg to Jim Cotta references nonsense, and it's basically like it's a film that calls out Batman and Batman fans on all their shit, but then helping them out along the way to like maybe become better people.
Yeah, it's arguably. It's not even arguably. It is the best Batman film since the Nolans.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. It's a kids movie that's super fun for adults as well, and easily the best Batman film since The Dark Knight. Man.
You could even argue, I mean, depending on your preference, you could even argue it's a better film than the Nolan's films.
Well, here's the deal. It's kind of, so the Nolan films take the Batman as we know sort of premise and not only put it in the real world, but still make Batman cool.
Yeah.
But if you look at Batman from an outside of the comic book or movie sort of perspective, and even in a lot of the films, Batman's not cool. He's a broody sociopath who just literally pays billions of dollars to beat up insane people while dressed in a costume.
What's your secret power?
Yeah, I'm rich. But this movie, like,
I can't believe I'm quoting the Justice League.
Calls out, you did it. Calls out Batman on kind of all of his shit, and then like moves him forward in a weird way. I don't know. It was a much more impactful film than I initially anticipated.
Yeah, I think it's a really, again. It was on my list for a while until we had to like cull them down to 10. I loved it.
What about number 7 for you? Going down this list.
I know this is a film that will appear on your list, without a doubt. Logan was my number 7.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really like Logan. It could have been on the list of like movies that I thought were going to be way better than I thought they were going to be, but it was much more than that. It was, and this is why it appeared, over Thor Ragnarok for me, is that I think it did all the things that Thor Ragnarok did in terms of like being a unique experience, but it paid. It's something that you said on the episode as well. It paid tribute to the fact that this is a swan song for this character that we've seen and grown and known and loved. And I think it also gave these actors an opportunity to like really bring what they do to a property that, and to a franchise that hasn't often allowed them to do that.
Yes.
And the results are astonishing. The
results are a script that is nominated for an Oscar.
And it should be, because this is what I want from superhero movies. I don't want to be like, oh, it's part of a franchise. It's that thing I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, grading them on a curve. I don't want to grade them on a curve.
Sure.
I want them to be movies that you could hold up against other movies. And this is one of those movies that I could easily hold up against other movies. It's strange to me. This film was released so early in the year that I feel like people are forgetting about it a little bit, other than the Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
But it's as good as The Dark Knight, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
And it should be up there amongst the best superhero, the best comic book adaptations that there is. And it's great. It's wonderful. I loved it. I think is it in the years we've been doing this might be the first superhero film to appear on my top 10 list.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know 100% for sure, but that is something that I would bet money on.
Yeah. And I think, when you say I hate superhero films, I think you do mischaracterize what I'm saying. This is what I want.
I might have said you hate superhero films.
You say a lot of things
in a fit of rage or a fit of joy. Yeah. I get that. I 100% get that. I just, and again, I don't feel like I need to talk about this because we talk about it every fucking week, but like, I still can like the films, the superhero in that genre that you don't like due to other sort of reasons and what I look for in films. And that's fine. My number 7.
Yep.
I believe was your number 10.
Your Name?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, a little bit higher on the list for me. For me, it came out of nowhere. You said like, hey, let's go watch this movie. It's the number 1 movie on the planet right now. And I was like, okay. And so we went, we saw it, and I just fell in love with the characters and the world sort of put forth, especially like kind of like what you said. It's an animated film, but like the animation is beautiful and that's great, but they didn't make this an animated film because it was stuff that they could never pull off in real life. They made it because they wanted to draw this.
Yeah.
And that was really lovely. It got me thinking sort of about love and understanding in a brand new way and without forcing it. And it really only falls into one kind of shitty anime trope once very quickly.
Right.
Which is there's a whole gender swapping thing, and you can imagine what happens. But
it's all like, I'm not mad at the idea that this might be remade. Like, I guess I do. It doesn't need to be remade, but as like, I could see this as an I could see this being remade.
Do you think though? And let me ask you this: Do you think, from a statistical perspective, do you think the remake will be better than this film?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
it's possible.
It's possible,
but if we're putting money on things or we're betting on it, I would also bet no.
Right.
And those are the things to me that like I'm like, well, why? Just why?
Right.
Like, there's no point for it for me. If there's something, I'll even give. It's interesting. This is a little bit further back and not an animation, but Old Boy.
Right.
When Old Boy was remade.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a worst case scenario because the remake is
I know, but exactly. But what I'm saying is like Old Boy, there was no point in remaking Old Boy.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm trying to think of a film that like would be worth remaking.
Well, no, the one the thing I mentioned, which is a movie I don't love, but the Infernal Affairs to the Departed. I don't actually love either of them. But I think when I watch The Departed, I go, that's a good thoughtful adaptation of Infernal Affairs.
And whether you like one better or the other, you do get additional things that change the way the film feels, aka Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson.
I hate. You know what I do hate though is the only a little bit of cultural sovereignty here. The only reason we're talking about this as a possible remake is because it's a Japanese film. Like there, like if this was an American released film, there's we wouldn't be talking about remakes. It's just because it's a Japanese film that we're talking about remake. And the thing is, it is a perfect, great movie on its own, and we shouldn't be having that conversation.
One thing I haven't watched yet on the Blu-ray is I always want to see it subtitled first, but then I'm always interested in the English dub. Sometimes, like Bebop, you get lucky.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you don't, but I'm curious who voiced and how the voice acting was done in English.
I've been going down a rabbit hole of My Neighbor Totoro trying to find, because I want my son to watch it.
Oh.
And I'm trying to find, there was apparently a really good English dub of it. Anyway, down a rabbit hole. If you want to send us gifts, find me an original.
Wow. Yeah,
My Neighbor
so
Totoro.
P.O. Box, we don't have one.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to jump to more friends, Spencer and Johnny, talking some odd films, I think, for this list.
So as much as I would like to say It Comes at Night or Get Out or American Fable, which we just talked about without the mics, etc., I think in terms of sheer enjoyment, Atomic Blonde.
Whoa!
When I saw Atomic Blonde, I enjoyed myself more than any other film I've seen this year. I was like cackling in the theater. I was like yelling at the screen. Charlize Theron really sells.
Yeah.
She's a beast.
Everything. And also a little thing that in film and video games is referred to as feedback, which is the believability of the violence happening.
Sure.
Like one of my favorite scenes is like her versus obviously blonde secondary antagonist, like just duking it out forever. And at a certain point, they're both just like staggering around as if they are drunk, falling against walls, looking hatefully at each other. And I was like, this is kind of what the end of a long fight would be like, though.
Yeah. That's great. Johnny, what about you? Best the 2017 film.
I was thinking about doing this, and I think I have to go with Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, God bless you.
Because what I've really been enjoying lately is movies where I notice something new and different the more times I see it.
Sure.
I unravel layers like an onion.
Yep.
And Guardians was definitely the one that did the most for me. Like the first time I saw it, it was funny. It was like action. I enjoyed it. Second time I see it, I'm like really feeling the themes about family. I'm seeing the character connections. The third time, I'm just like weeping.
Yeah.
That last shot of Rocket when he's, and the last exchange he has with Peter, and he's like, he didn't chase him away. And Peter, like the moment, like watching on Chris Pratt's face, like as he realizes that Rocket's talking about himself,
Yeah.
And just like that, oh, that's so moving.
Yeah.
And seeing the themes of family.
And that whole movie is basically saying, hey, look, here's your dad who happens to be an asshole and a god, lowercase g, that's also a planet, but fuck him because your friends are your actual family. Listen, he may have been Peter Quill's father, but he wasn't his daddy. Gentlemen,
I can't hear that without crying.
thank
right
you
now.
so much for coming and talking to me about all this.
It's our
Thanks,
pleasure.
Daddy.
Rock and roll. Yeah. You're a nasty daddy.
Ew. That just made me feel
The
gross.
nastiest of daddies.
Yeah, oh, gross. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it is a very good sequel. It is. You know, I will. I guess the only. It's like, you know, it's a little bit like Hellboy for me, which is like I go, these are really good. They're not quite for me,
Yeah.
but they are good.
And
Yeah.
then Atomic Blonde. I didn't see Atomic Blonde.
I didn't see Atomic Blonde, but what I did see this year was John Wick.
John Wick 2?
No, I saw John
saw
Wick.
the first
I saw
John Wick.
Yeah, and I think I tweeted at you, which was like my tweet, and I think you responded in a way where it was like you were like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? But my tweet was something along the lines of John Wick feels like 50 Shades of Grey for 14-year-old boys, which is that it is like an action fantasy for 14-year-old boys.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I appreciated the stunt work and the choreography of John Wick. I was like, oh, this is actually really on point.
Keanu did work.
Well, the reason I mentioned John Wick as well is because of the same director, David Leitch, who directed that. So I'm kind of curious to see that. The mythology and world building in John Wick, I was like, oh, boy. I was kind of.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked. Well, here's the thing.
I hear it expands in a way that's good in John Wick,
which is
too.
good. So I was really drawn to the world. So the world was more interesting to me than the film in the first John Wick. So I was like, what are these coins in the Secret Assassin Society? And like, it just made a lot of like, it made me. It did the thing I think good stories do, where it doesn't over inundate you with sort of world building you don't need, but while still being like, there is more behind this curtain if we had the time to show you.
Right. I guess I thought it was a little silly and kind of played a little silly. But then I was like, but again, the choreography, the action was top notch.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There was, it's so funny. Someone just coined Ready Player One, a book that's being made into a Steven Spielberg film that I really liked my first reading. And my second reading, I was like, oh, and someone on Twitter or somewhere coined it as the neckbeard Twilight.
Right.
And it is.
Yeah.
Actually, Lindsay Ellis just did an amazing piece sort of apologizing to Stephanie Meyer for her treatment of Twilight throughout the years. Check that out on YouTube. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Just sort of, it's this thing.
And yeah, I think my saying 50 Shades of Grey is not an insult to 50 Shades of Grey, because I agree that there should be more films like 50 Shades of Grey which pander to a female audience the way in which John Wick panders to a 14-year-old
It's
boy.
the same thing.
Yeah.
100%. All right, your number 6, Shahir.
My number 6 film of the year is The Florida Project.
Shahir, my number 6 film was The Florida Project.
Really?
Is this the first time?
Oh my God, did we just become best friends?
And we just became best friends.
Oh my God.
It's right here. It's right here on my paper.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, a film that could easily go up the list on mine.
It is locked in so hard in mine, you could not shake it out with an ice pick.
Really just wonderful story, wonderful empathetic storytelling that cuts to the heart of a community that we don't see a lot on film, which is something I think Sean Baker is going to become known for. He might be, you might consider him to be the Ken Loach of America for a while. He, an absolute. I know this was the most controversial hot take from our review of it was like, well, the value of a child's performance.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it was just an astounding performance at the center of it, and a performance by the mother as well. I believe her name. No, the child is called Brooklyn. Something. I think her name is Brooklyn.
I don't remember.
This is so bad. I should have IMDb open up in front of me, but I don't because I'm a professional.
You pay for it. You have IMDb Pro, so you know you're a professional that doesn't need to know their shit.
Exactly. No, I from the cinematography through to the storytelling, and it has one of the most astounding moments for me in a film, which is the two kids sitting on top of a tree, and she says, "You know why I love this tree? Is because when you cut it down, it just keeps growing and twisting." And I was just like, I don't know what it is about that line.
Sure.
To me is magical, and her delivery of it is magical, and the scenery is just, I love it.
I wrote down in my notes, I said, this is the best documentary that wasn't one.
Okay,
because it feels
this based documentary cast with actors and it's written,
but a lot of these people weren't actors. That's my point. They are acting, but they're not actors, and you get a different feeling from them. Again, one of my favorite films, Umberto D, did that whole damn thing.
Yeah.
It just like it made you. It told you this amazing tale of like these forgotten people that you just don't ever think about, and then you get Willem Dafoe in there, just Willem Dafoeing it up all over the damn place, just and being so beautifully minimalist, but like feeling exactly like the right part of the world, and it got you thinking about. This is something that I really. Oftentimes we sort of butt heads here on sort of like, why film this and why not film that. This film, I think we talked about it somewhere down the line. This film doesn't get me thinking about the film itself or characters in the film or like the thing, whatever. It gets me thinking and talking and conversing about the topic matter that it is about.
Right.
And that's something I think is very, very important that a lot of films actually don't do.
Right.
Especially a lot of the films that I gravitate toward. I'll talk about Star Wars, Marvel, whatever, but like there's nothing to talk about outside of that other than the business side of it.
There's a really interesting essay in relation, it was in Sight and Sound, and it was in relation to David Simon's The Wire, and they talked about the sense in cinema of analogy versus direct correlation. And what they're talking about was the idea that some films are analogous, like Star Wars is maybe an analogy for the Vietnam War. Right, but then some films are directly about things that are happening in our world, and the Florida Project is a really good example of things that are directly about things that are happening in our world.
Yeah,
no one thing is better than the other, but that's what it makes it powerful. It is, but it's also a fantastic. Piece of storytelling, 100%. Yeah,
and the storytelling and the writing make that something, because again, these aren't happy things to talk about, but it puts you into a sense of making it okay to talk about them.
Yeah.
So that's both of our number sixes. That's exciting. Right now, though, remember that thing we were teasing about a listener friend, a listener turned friend.
Is this our favorite listener? No, that's unfair.
That's not fair.
That's not fair. That's have great
not fair,
listeners.
Shahir. We love all of our listeners equally.
But Jacob did send us a spreadsheet last year outlining our top tens, his top tens, and a statistical analysis between the two.
Let me
so
tell
we just
you,
felt we had to bring him back.
You could write a thesis based on the emails that Jacob has sent us. Jacob was kind enough to give us a couple minutes of his time, and we asked him, because we're at the halfway point of our own things, of our own lists, to come and give his top 5 of the year.
So joining us on the podcast is listener Jacob. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, thank you guys.
Jacob, wait, hold on a second. Have you been here this entire show? Just quiet, and now you're chiming in?
I do like to sit in the corner, yes.
He's been here the call is coming from inside the studio.
He's been here every episode, 140 of them.
Jacob, you, my friend, point us to a ton of films that we have not heard of, or things that might be off our beaten paths and whatnot. What would be some films of this year that we might not have seen or tried?
So this year had an amazing amount of movies that I saw. I saw like 122 movies that came out this year.
Oh my God. Way more than us.
Yes.
But yeah, some of the ones that were kind of off the radar, kind of, not too discussed. There's a movie called Dave Made a Maze, which is absolutely hilarious and funny and kind of genre.
Oh, that's the cardboard one, right?
Yeah. It was
I wanted to see that.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. It was just really, really interesting. There was an Australian film called Hounds of Love that was very hard to digest.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy movie to sit through. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I like a challenge when I watch movies. I just watched one earlier today called Columbus. I like slower paced, kind of slow burns, and it was great.
Film about architecture,
wonderful.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. And another just kind of not even subplot, but another story about addiction and responsibility growing up as a young adult, which was very nice to see.
Well,
Nothing about the genocidal explorer, I'm guessing.
That is true.
Okay,
That is
just
true.
making sure.
It's not even Columbus, Ohio, like I originally thought. It's Columbus, Indiana.
Oh,
So
wow.
my U.S. geography
something.
is terrible, so that
It's
doesn't
all
make.
north from you, Shahir.
So, Jacob, could you run through what would be your top 5 movies of 2017?
You're going to kick us off into our top 5s now. The weaker films have sunk, and now the greater films shall rise.
all right. But number 5 for me is Michael Showalter's The Big Sick.
Ah,
At that movie, I'm a sucker for a romance that's not, a typical romantic comedy, something that has a lot more heart to it, something that just really reaches me on an emotional level. And that movie kind of destroyed me in a way, but in a good way. I left the theater very happy and fulfilled, and just, it was my number 1 for quite some time.
oh wow.
Okay.
Well,
But,
how did it drop
yeah.
5 places?
Yeah, now wait. So what overtook it first?
So what the most recent thing that overtook it was Craig Gillespie's I, Tonya. That's my number 4.
Number 4.
I actually saw this way back in September at a screening. I had really mixed feelings on it. I loved the style. I loved the performances. All the technical aspects I really enjoyed of the film. But I had an issue with the way it dealt the really serious topics of child abuse, domestic abuse, and then turned it right into a laugh just the next scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of tactless, kind of tone deaf, and I was kind of left uneasy about it. But then I saw it a second time, and knowing it was coming, I kind of braced myself for it and just kind of really let the movie itself sink in.
Mhm.
And I can't get over how good it was made, how all the performances, the style of it.
Okay. What else knocked off The Big Sick?
Number 3.
Number 3, you guys discussed, and I don't think we're as keen on it as I am. It is 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
I think the hot topic film of the year.
Yep.
And for me, I mean, it just boils down to I had a very fun time with this movie. Stylistically, it almost reminded me of a Coen Brothers film.
Yep.
Just the performances were great. There were some shocking moments that I had no idea were coming, and it was just another very stylistic film that it just did everything. It checked all the right boxes for me personally.
Okay. All right. We will have things to say about that movie, I think, as it has itched its way into the awards season
Yes.
as well.
Right. Number 2 was a movie that I really didn't have any interest in seeing, but I'm kind of a completionist and I have to see everything that, has award buzz. So it is Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, I was going to go Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales for the
close.
completionist. Yeah.
Very close.
Oh, Call Me by Your Name's number 2.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about this. It just had a certain artistic quality that went beyond entertainment value. It was absolutely gorgeous. The story itself was wonderful and left me thinking about these 2 characters for days after I saw the film.
That's wonderful to hear. I think that's there's a distinction David Fincher makes between movies and films, and I think he talks about Fight Club being a film and Panic Room being a movie. And I think the distinction there is one is there to entertain and to be drowned out, like you can consume it by the masses, and the other is that it leaves you thinking about your own life in a different way. So I think that's not a dumb way to look at that movie at all. Quite an astute way.
Yeah.
All right.
And what was your number 1?
My number 1 film of the year, there's really no reason for it other than I absolutely adored it 100%, is The Florida Project.
Oh!
Yeah, Sean Baker with a bullet.
Very nice.
And the funny thing is, I wasn't that big of a fan of Tangerine.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. I enjoyed it for what it was, but I thought it was a little overpraised.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, that was cool. But when I saw the trailer for it, when I saw just how fun it looked, but yet still how human it was and how real it felt, I knew I had to see it. And from the opening frame, I was like, yes, this is the movie for me of 2017.
Wow. And in a movie that is kind of being overlooked in the Oscar season this year.
It has.
Yeah. Other than Willem, right?
Yeah.
Really? Is there a couple others?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacob, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Again, we thank you so much for the amount of time you put into to being part of the community that we're trying to build here. We absolutely love hearing from you. And I got to say, I know you've actually requested movies from us before that we have not made it to.
Because we're bad people.
Because we're terrible people. But if there was one movie that you saw this year that you would love us to engage with, was there anything that you felt like we missed and we absolutely should have covered? And we'll try to do it from now on.
Sure. I'll go ahead and say a film I also recently saw that made it as my number 10 film, which is called Tramps.
Oh yes, I know Tramps. It was actually shot in this neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a New York film.
Yeah.
It was, I had no idea about it going into it, and it was super entertaining. It was a nice, simple story, but done really well. And the characters are the forefront of that movie. And it just felt very realistic and down to earth.
I think that
Nice.
the director had done a previous film that I have seen called "Gimme the Loot," which I really liked.
Ooh, I like all these titles.
Yeah, and we promise, and I will hold us to that promise.
no,
today,
what's he doing?
That we are gonna do this film.
Okay.
because I've been
All
wanting
right.
to check it out for a while as well.
No, and beyond that, I would promise it even if I didn't want to see it, because Jacob, we really appreciate you listening in, and as we do all of our listeners, but you come at us with some detail, my friend, and we really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah.
Talk about synchronicity.
We did not plan that, but yet here we are.
Yeah, his number 5
Was our equal
no, sorry. His number 1 was our equal number 5.
6. Number 6.
6, sorry.
We're so close. Synchronicity is broken. I don't think it's going to be synchronous the rest of this list.
Yeah, no, but thank you, Jacob. I think the choices he made are obviously. This is the thing as well. There's so many like usual suspects on everyone's top 5 list or top 10 list this year. And we've talked about all the things that make the Florida Project great. And like the thing that he pointed out is exactly the reason why I think my list is fluid, because like for him, the Florida Project was clearly without a doubt the number 1 film.
Yes.
And there's no arguing with that. It is a wonderful, wonderful movie. Thank you so much for your time, Jacob. We appreciate that. And we look forward perhaps to having you come back one day. Maybe you could become a regular.
Thanks, Jacob. Yeah, that'd be fun. I dig that. He is a smart cookie.
All right.
Moving on. What's your number 5, taking us to the second half of our list here?
Number 5. Phantom Thread by Paul Thomas Anderson.
All right. Last podcast we did.
Yeah, last podcast we did. This movie, I think more than any film I think I saw this year, put a real smile on my face. It just made me happy, and it was delightful and sensual and indulgent, and it made me feel like I was in the House of Woodcock, so to speak. And it was. I think there's a lot of tribute being played to Daniel Day-Lewis, and it is a wonderful performance from Daniel Day-Lewis, but it's also a wonderful send-off for Daniel Day-Lewis, because it is a film where Daniel Day-Lewis, by the end of it, takes backseat to the women around him, and I think that is an appropriate send-off for what is arguably being an actor who has portrayed toxic masculinity in a lot of his films.
And Abraham Lincoln.
And Abraham Lincoln. Toxic masculinity. So it's Daniel Plainview and Abraham Lincoln.
Yep.
And I think it's one of Paul Thomas Anderson is like he very rarely does wrong in my mind, and even his wrong is like, well, it's it's
still a milkshake.
But this is not one of those. This is an absolutely delightful film that I'm eager to rewatch.
I'm so glad that you and guest of that episode, Jamie Walsh, really enjoyed the film because I liked it.
Yep.
But it didn't grab me. But I also see. I think it's how you feel towards Guardians. Honestly, it's you see it, you see it there, but it's not the thing that grabs you the way. So I mean, I think it's 100% deserving to be on anyone's list, and it is one of the pinnacles for many reasons of 2017.
Before you do your top 5, can I give you like just a couple of films just on that point of films that I think were wonderful, but just didn't grab me personally?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you know, like because I think that's an important thing. That's what this list is. It's like it's not actually about like what is the best film. It's like what you know kind of I gravitated towards. But films that I thought were wonderful but didn't do much for me were films like The Big Sick. I thought it was a wonderful film, but I didn't like grasp onto it. And
Gotcha.
The Shape of Water was another one. Dunkirk, Detroit, and It Comes at Night.
Wait, I thought you loved Dunkirk.
I liked Dunkirk. Remember my experience of Dunkirk?
Oh yeah, you got thrown.
Yeah,
you got thrown.
And I kind of felt like it was like the IMAX experience of World War II.
For your ears. Now you're permanently damaged.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I do want to revisit Dunkirk.
I want to watch it on an iPhone just to be bitter.
Yeah, there you go. What is your number 5 film?
Number 5 film for me is Lady Bird.
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird, she's so fly. Ooh, Lady Bump. Beautiful 70s track. Look that up. A lot of screaming. Lady Bird was great.
Yeah.
Lady Bird, I basically went into a little bit blind. I'd seen one part of a trailer, but it was literally just the most beautiful and brutal-ish sort of tale of and honest. I think honest is the big word of how adolescence feels. It's sort of humor as medicine for your soul, and there wasn't sort of a more, I feel like, and this is going even beyond my opinion, I feel, it seemed as a critical darling of a film, 100% of Rotten Tomatoes and blah, blah, blah. There wasn't a more universally effective and understood film of 2017. It seemed like most everyone from all walks of life could come to this film and get a similar experience, which and take similar things out of, because growing up, the feelings you feel growing up, everyone's sort of situations are 100% different. But the feelings you feel a lot of times, I think, can be startlingly similar in the human condition. And this film shows a tiny slice of a piece of an adolescent human condition. And it does it beautifully with care and funny moments and naivete in some spots and just sort of frivolousness in others. And it counterbalances that entirely. I've never watched something where I've been like, especially something where like this girl in the film did not have the same experience growing up that I had, but we felt the same things at the same time at similar times.
I think the thing for me as well is it's a wonderful depiction of a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
It's an absolute, Laura Metcalf in that film.
Not since Brave have I seen a better mother-daughter.
That wouldn't be the one I would gravitate towards.
What's another one? I'm trying to think, because Brave struck me
for
because
some reason the only one that comes to my mind is the worst example. It's Flowers in the Attic.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That is a terrible.
Or
example.
maybe Mother, lower exclamation point.
Yeah, slightly different mother-daughter, but no, it is a wonderful film. I wish I'd put it on my list, but it was one where I was like, I really like this film, but I kind of, I just gravitate to other films.
I hear you. Yeah. All right, Shahir, number 4.
Number 4, With a Bullet Made of Love, is Call Me By Your Name.
Okay. Love bullets flying hot.
Yeah, I love bullets flying all over the place in this movie. Call Me By Your Name, a film, I think Jacob described it best, which was something that just transcended what it actually was, and something that that made me feel, it connected to the reptilian part of my brain in a way that I think few other films actually did. And it made me feel things deeply and profoundly.
That's not the reptilian part of your brain.
It is, because the instinctual part.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see that. But then the feelings part are different. It's hitting different parts.
No, but it's hitting me on a pure instinct level. Like I lose the sense of myself, and I just respond.
I got animalistic.
Yeah, and it was it has, I think, one of the best monologues in film this year. And
you're talking the end?
Yeah, and for a film that is so seemingly slight, it just captures the essence of a moment in a kind of perfect way. And so I just adored this film. There is talk of a sequel at this point. Yeah. Well, because in the book, and I haven't read the book, but in the book, the last chapter just goes on to like other parts of their lives. And Luca Guadagnino, I don't know if he's like messing with us, but he's like, I want to revisit these characters and bring them back. And it kind of, if he does, I hope he kind of goes down the before sunrise, before sunset.
Like 10 years.
Yeah, and also like reevaluating where these people are in different times.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know if we need to see it. It is a beautiful film on its own right.
I think
a beautiful song. My favorite song of the year is in a film.
A lot of things that Lady Bird did it also worked for me in sort of a similar way. This film is the film equivalent, like it's the closest to the actual feeling I had the first time I was in love. Mm-hmm. I just saw it and got to experience it again. Yeah. And I think a lot of that, again, I go back to my roller coaster of enjoying the film. Yeah. The first time you fall in love is not all good.
Yeah.
It is up and down all over the place. And this film gave me those feelings. So it is a damn good film, 100%.
What's your love bullet for number 4?
My love bullet for number 4 is I, Tonya. And before we talk about how that's disqualified, there was a secret meeting we had, Shahir and
so
I.
the rules are in flux.
The rules are in flux because in this secret meeting, you and I discussed sort of what we were going to review and include before this thing came out, et cetera, so on and so forth. And for whatever reason, I, Tonya, fell in a little crack of gray area in our rule structure, and I pounced on it.
So what happened is if you're listening to this now, you will know that we are almost approaching February for this best of 2017 episode, and that wasn't a point of laziness. We would have released it in January. If we'd gotten to it, but the reason we didn't was that we wanted to catch up on so many films, and if we'd released it when we should have released it, Call Me by Your Name, Phantom Thread wouldn't be on that list.
I, Tonya as well, too.
And I, Tonya. And so I think what I said to Matt was, because we knew we are reviewing I, Tonya. It's coming up very shortly on our list of movies. And I think what I said to him was like, well, why don't we just say that those can be included on this list because they're 2017. And this all comes back to Jacob calling me out in 2016 for including movies that we reviewed in the following year. This Jacob, time is a flat circle, and this is all because of you.
Also, that means nothing. But no, I'm gonna. So that's the explanation. But thanks.
I, Tonya is an excellent movie. I will reserve comment on it because we haven't reviewed it yet on the show.
I will just say.
That's twice you've done this now, Matt.
Yeah, but this one's allowed, and I don't need to change it. Where the other one was not allowed, and I changed it. Anyway, I, Tonya review incoming. My number 4 film. You'll find out why soon.
All right.
Let's see here. We got. Oh, we're coming down to some of the ends of the packages here. We have more friends from New Year's Eve. Sammy and Joe, what were your favorite films of the year?
I am going to do Lady Bird.
Oh, that's fine.
He totally sniped Sammy's movie.
We're both going to do Lady Bird.
It was Blade Runner. We had this set up. This was not off the cuff, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to preface this by saying that I want us to both talk about it because I was watching Lady Bird.
Sure.
Watching Lady Bird, and I was thinking, and Sammy was sitting next to me, kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
And was sort of shaking a bit. And it was a great movie, very powerful film. I didn't realize that this movie was shot at the same high school Sammy went to.
Holy shit!
Incredibly relatable. And all the sort of the boys go to a boys' school.
It was very strange.
Right. And
we went with Becky,
it has had an impact on so many people. And then to me imagining, oh my God, it was also a film about my youth shot at my high school.
Yeah.
Would freak me out.
Yeah, you're real still in my thunder here, sweetie.
Yeah, I'd have so that's why I wanted to talk about it, because you have a unique perspective.
So you were trying to help.
Movie.
You were trying to help
Amazing
your wife,
movie.
but in a way,
you stole my story.
I want to hear what you have to say about Lady Bird. What was it like growing up?
We were watching it, and they're in my uniform, and I leaned over to Becky, and I was like, dude, that's weird. This movie's really relatable, but they're in my uniform. And then suddenly they're in my freaking high school parking lot. And I was like, it's my thing.
Sammy had one of Sammy's best friends growing up was a little shorter and dark haired. And there's symmetries in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Like a taller, slimmer girl and then a shorter girl with dark hair.
They did theater. It was a really cute film.
You would
Anyways,
you would have
you really liked Blade Runner.
would have like
Now, Sammy. Now tell why Joe liked Blade Runner. To give the story why.
He didn't say that part.
I
of this.
wanted you to.
He had my backstory. I don't know. Why'd you like it?
No,
I
make
found
it up.
very
Make it
boring.
up. Make it up, and then he'll fix
I
it.
think that visually and the art direction was fantastic.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
And it's lent itself. You've seen online people doing incredible cell shaded renderings, like watercolor renderings of Blade Runner. It's just the color work was
amazing,
was astonishing.
I'll even go one further. I'll take it down a little bit weird. I've watched probably without noticing it for like 15 minutes just the GIF of Ryan Gosling in the snow on the stairs.
I think Sam and I differ here, but I can watch Ryan Gosling go about regular tasks methodically. Like I will pay to watch.
No, Drive was boring.
I hate Drive.
I love Drive.
I hate Drive.
I can watch Ryan Gosling.
No, I'm not that indie.
That's a discussion for another
too much
time.
hipster.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can go back and listen to both the Blade Runner or the Lady Bird or the Drive podcast. They're all on there. Sammy, Joe, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
All right, I think that points to the thing. The reason why Lady Bird is doing so well is that it is so relatable. Like even me, I grew up in New Zealand, and I saw pieces of my growing up in that film, and and so I think that's the if you talk about tapping into something, I think that's what Lady Bird really does tap into. It is quite extraordinary that it does.
And Blade Runner, I mean, we've talked about a little bit here, sort of back and forth. A couple people discussing it. There are moments of just pure cinematic joy to be had with Blade Runner, despite the fact it does sort of fall short in other places for me. But like, I think both of those are apt choices for the 2017 best movie that affected you category. Shahir, number 3, buddy. What is it?
This final 3, by the way, are really interchangeable. You can move all of these around.
Shahir, you don't have to say it anymore.
Nope.
Everyone knows all of your stuff is fluid like water, and none of these numbers matter.
All 3 of these were number 1 at one point, and all 3 were number 3 at some point.
Sure, but you've said that about every one so far.
Yeah, these 3 really, yeah. But my number 3 movie of the year is Dee Rees's Mudbound. I just think this is an extraordinary, epic piece of filmmaking, staggeringly told, given how small the budget was as well. If there's any tragedy to the Oscars this year, it's that Dee Rees wasn't nominated for Best Director.
Yeah.
Rachel Morrison, who was the cinematographer on the film, was rightly nominated for Best Cinematography, and to be honest with you, I hope she wins. It is, it was one of those films I put on in the middle of the night, kind of expecting to watch, 10 to 15 minutes just to get a sense of it. But I couldn't put it down. It is storytelling. The thing about it as well is it's really classical filmmaking. It's really classical storytelling. It's classic big storytelling. But done. But again, of the moment as well. I think it touches on something in terms of historical race politics in America, about where we come from, that I think is really important. So, for all those reasons and more, and it's just a wonderful piece of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Mudbound is my number 3.
All right. I agree with all those things. Mudbound was a very nice surprise for me. I went into that totally cold, and I came out being like, and I came out with a. I love it when Netflix films are great, because you can not only recommend them to people, but there's also no excuse for people not to watch them.
Yeah, you could just tap into their account and be like, hey, have you watched Netflix?
Yeah.
Imagine if Netflix had like a chat function.
Oh, my friends would hate me.
Like you could pop up while they're watching a movie. It's like, you watching this?
Yeah. Well, speaking of popping up, my number 3.
Yeah, what is it?
Is very apt because there's 3 claws involved on each fist.
Is it a weapon with a letter denomination, possibly weapon C?
Nah,
D,
Wolverine,
E.
Schnicky, Schneid. And what I'm doing right now, and you can't see it, is I'm miming Wolverine's fucking berserker attack with his adamantium claws. It's Logan, even though I just did a Mallrats reference. Logan blew my mind. It's a perfect example, as we sort of said, of a franchise culmination. And it also took the parts from the source material Old Man Logan, the comic book, added newer, stronger sort of motivations behind it and kind of cut out the chaff.
I think it distilled
stupid.
Old Man Logan into a really clear story.
Yeah. This is just how a franchise should end. It's an emotionally resonant finale until they eventually reboot it, which makes me sad to think. But that obviously is not the last time we will see the the character of Wolverine on screen. It's just going to be one of those things where I don't know where you're going to take it from here.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can honestly say with that, if they never did, and this will never happen, but if they never made another film with Wolverine in it, I would be fine.
Yeah,
I can't think of another superhero at this point where I feel like their stories are meaningful and poignant and finite enough where I would feel comfortable with that.
Right.
And that's just great.
Yeah. You mean if they decided not to print money?
Yeah. If they just decided, you know what, we have enough. Hey, do other countries need clean water? We can do that.
Yeah. With our Logan receipt.
Is everyone good?
But you know what I think it is as well, is I think that's what Hugh Jackman's doing. I think Hugh Jackman is saying, you know what? I'm done. I'm good. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed my time here. Peace out.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, and he's doing it at an age where I feel like there's an entire career ahead of him beyond Wolverine, even though he did it for 17 years. They're in opposite ends of our list, but again, you know,
yours are fluid. Mine are literally hard as diamond.
Your list is etched in stone. Mine is floating on a river.
On a water.
Yeah, on a water.
Well,
I was gonna say floating in perfume in a man's hat, which is a Simpsons reference.
Jesus Christ. Well, why don't you pluck your number 2 film out of your hat filled with perfume?
Man, this could have easily been number 1.
I want you to say one of these without giving a caveat.
No, it's just I'm like looking at it going, should I change it out now?
You could. I can't see your screen. Yeah. You could flip it right now.
I can flip it right now. But my number 2 film is Get Out.
Okay.
And again, this is not a caveat, but it's not necessarily the film that I think is the best film of the year. It's an excellent.
It's your second favorite film of the year.
It's an excellent film, but it's one of the most important films of the year. It taps into
100%.
It taps into a moment of the now in a way that is entertaining and that is thrilling and that will be remembered. I think if anything comes out of the cinema of 2017, it'll be the image of Daniel Kaluuya in The Sunken Place.
Yeah.
Because The Sunken Place is the most ingenious literary metaphor for racial politics in America. Mm-hmm. It is truly an astonishing piece of cinema that needs to be seen in the theater as well, because the collective experience of seeing it is important, and it
makes you feel weird.
Yeah, it really and when they have movie screenings at the White House, every year the president will be shown a series of films or request a series of films. I really think Donald Trump should watch this movie.
He wouldn't. He'd be one of those assholes just still tweeting through the entire thing.
But other than that, it's such a masterfully ingenious idea for a film executed well. There aren't enough superlatives about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, it was a fantastic film that did. I don't know. I've watched it a couple times at this point, and it's fun to find the little things.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the people who's bad. I won't spoil things, but like there are visual cues that let you know the twist way before the twist happens, which is always fun for me too. There's a lot of small things along with the sort of the grandiose ideas that it's putting together in a very palatable and important and engaging fashion.
Yeah.
My number 2, however, is not palatable for some at all.
I'm guessing it starts with an Ardians.
No.
No?
It's Mother. Tell your children not to watch this film. No, Mother punched me in the gut 9 times and then slapped me in the face, and I was like, you know what? I'll have another one of those, please.
Yeah.
Like it's a film that just I found myself giving it the most thought.
Yeah.
Out of all films of 2017, Mother is the film that I actively, when thinking about other things, my mind would drift back to Mother.
Yeah.
And it's one of the only films on the list where I do feel like if a person can't admit that this is an example of film craft at its finest, whether you loved it or hate it, and I know even Babe and Leo said he didn't like it at all, but he at least knew that it took skill to make. If someone doesn't have that in them, I kind of have a problem discussing films with them. It's a very litmusy thing. It's a hard film to watch, but a great film to dissect.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's so good. I've watched it a couple times now, and you catch on to some stuff, and there's little things that just permeate throughout, and it is lovely, and it's so much fun. It's one of those films where if you've seen it, if you show it to another person, it's just as fun for you as the first time you watched it.
And on the list, it's on the list of worst pictures of the year. No, worst actress of the year. But I think, and also worst director, I believe. Yeah. Wow.
It does things that no other film did this year.
Yeah.
It got me thinking probably the most about Catholicism that I have in a very long time. So Mother! We got one more package, Shahir.
Oh, wow.
One more package. This one is wonderful. Guest of last week's show, Jamie Walsh, and her two lovely roommates, Elise and Tanya, tell us about not only their, well, I will say this, not their favorite film of the year, but we've been talking a lot about film-going experiences, and this was their favorite film-going experience of 2017.
Roll the tape.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining me very briefly here on New Year's Eve.
Oh, thank you for having us, Matthew.
Of course.
Really honored. This is a really fantastic podcast. Super honored.
Thank you very much. You've all been to the live show, which I'm very appreciative of.
We loved it. It was great. Amazing.
Go.
I know you have a specific story. It's not necessarily your favorite film of 2017, but your favorite movie-going experience of 2017. Tanya's looking at me like I'm wrong.
I'm like, it's the best movie of 2017.
Okay, then you know what? I'm gonna let who's taking the reins of this.
So Tanya's birthday was in May, and we decided that a good thing to do would be to take Tanya to one of the installments of one of her favorite film franchises.
Okay,
her favorite. The Fast and the Furious series. Now, here's what was special about this, though, is that Elise and I have been aggressively shaming Tanya for years about liking Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
She's a committed fan, and we have just constantly shat on her.
You and I have seen maybe up to
I had
Tokyo
never
Drift?
seen one. I had never seen a single Fast and the Furious.
I've seen 1, 2. I saw 1 and 2 for sure.
Sure. Tanya, I mean, since you're the super fan, you obviously know the order goes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3, 7, 8.
Yeah, it goes crazy.
Yeah.
And they're not all good, but I'm still a fan and I'm sticking with it.
Yeah.
But we should talk about how excited they were when they were actually watching the movie.
Sure.
Once we committed, we got excited.
We're going to the AMC Times Square Theater to see this beautiful piece of art, which it is oh my God, guys, it is a piece of art. It is so it knows
really
itself. That is the theme of 2018. Know thyself. Fast and the Furious knows thyself.
Fast and Furious knows what it's about.
I think it resonated because we were so excited. Everyone in the theater was so excited to watch it. Everyone was like clapping and clap breaks cheering. Everyone. And we're all adults. We're all over 30.
Yeah.
Special. It's just like it makes it so much better. So I don't think I would get that at home.
Yeah, exactly.
It just makes it just worth it. It was magical. I have nothing else to say
definitely,
about it.
I do. I think it's a shared group experience. That movie
100%.
movie does get better with a shared group of people.
100%.
I high-fived the complete stranger next to me. I never have I seen a movie do that, where it's, as we said, so aware of itself that it can just break rules and make new ones and wink at the audience, and nothing matters, and it does at the same time, and you are just on board for all of it. I've never had so much fun in a movie theater.
25 people on a plane while holding a baby.
You take care of your kid. He's going to get my child to daycare on time and safely.
And I would totally never allow Jason Statham to take my child out of daycare.
He's picking up your son right now. I didn't tell you.
Oh my! I gotta go.
Yeah, no, thank you, Elise, Tanya, and Jamie for that. I mean, for all of the stuff all the shit I talk about theaters losing the experience of going to a movie theater. There is something that the Fast and the Furious that very few action type films do, is they do give you this sense of camaraderie and sort of single serving friendship when you're there watching it with the big group of people, and that's something in a theater that you cannot get anywhere else.
I don't know if I'm that guy, but this was the year that I saw my first Fast and the Furious movie.
Sure.
I came in hot at what number are we up to? 7, 8.
That's 8. Fate of the Furious. The 8 was in the name. Shahir.
Fate. Oh my God, I just got that a whole year.
No.
I've been thinking about that title. I kind of want to go back and revisit them as sort of as popcorn fare.
You don't have to watch the first 4.
Right.
You really don't. Okay. I mean, Tokyo Drift maybe.
Right. I'm glad that people enjoyed that. I'm glad that they had a good time at the movies. That's always fun.
Speaking of fun, what's your number 1? We're at the number 1 spot, Shahir.
A movie that nobody had a good time watching.
Okay.
Your number 2 of the year, my number 1.
So close.
Is Mother. Darren Aronofsky's return after I think his previous film was it Noah or Black Swan? No, it was
Noah was the last.
Noah was last. Yeah. I'm racking my brain.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Mother, I think, is here's the thing. Get Out was ingenious.
Yep.
Mother challenged me cinematically on a way that I think few films I would expect to come out in a mainstream theater to ever do.
Yeah.
And it surprised me in ways that I think I couldn't quite fathom a big, even moderately sized budget film with one of the biggest movie stars on the planet would ever do. I mean, if you think about, like the other movie that she appeared in this year, which was, what was the movie with Chris Pratt when they were in space?
Space Lovers. That's not what it is.
Yeah. Passengers.
Hot people in space.
Yeah, hot people in space. I mean, if you think about and it's not a fair comparison, but Darren Aronofsky continues to remain true to the spirit with which he made Pi and Requiem for a Dream, and infuses it with something that is culturally relevant today, and challenging. I don't think he didn't just advance his argument about Catholicism, the environment, the way human beings treat each other, the way in which we receive messages and take them out of context, the way in which we interpret other people's behaviors. But he challenged the way cinema operates. And he, it's just a remarkable film. The fact that it's nominated for a Razzie
is nuts.
Is baffling to me. But this is what I want in my cinema, in my movie going experiences, is to have this sense of displacement, of discomfort, but fruitful displacement, fruitful discomfort. Like putting me in places that I didn't think I would go, but I did, and it's for that, and countless all the reasons you said as well, is an extraordinary piece of filmmaking.
Agreed.
I've said that phrase a number of times in this list.
Yeah, it's fine because these are all extraordinary films.
Yeah.
And yours are fluid in a hat full of perfume, floating there effortlessly, and mine are chiseled into the slates of time mounted on the placard of eternity.
Which was the Catholic figure that comes out with the plaques of the 10 Commandments?
I need to go back and watch Mother.
You need to go back and watch Mother.
My number 1 film, if you haven't figured it out yet, Shahir.
Does it start with G and ends with Ardians?
Of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is my number 1. And before everyone does say, oh, of course it is, you Marvel shill. This movie, I had a hard time before I chiseled these into the stones of the ether for all eternity, that just sort of figuring out what would encompass my number 1 film of the year. And a lot of the things I've listed so far have been incredibly powerful in certain aspects of filmmaking and film watching for me. But nothing encompassed everything in the exact proper amounts, I feel, for me, as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. James Gunn has managed to take the silliest premise in the Marvel Universe and do something not only that's still fun and that's still spectacle and that gets motherfucking Kurt Russell involved, but also take something that's like, it actually does make you feel things, I'll say this, it made me feel things and think about things about basically the concept of what family is, what framly is.
Framly.
And also what parenthood and what biological fatherhood is versus I guess situational fatherhood. And I did not expect to be crying at the end of this movie. This was not a film I went into expecting to feel all these feels. I was expecting to laugh at Drax misunderstanding things and have Rocket be an asshole. It does some great stuff. Honestly, I don't know if I've seen recently a better sister dynamic that has nothing to do. And then granted, it doesn't fully pass the Bechdel test because they do talk about Thanos, their father. But their experience, they took a character, a one-note character like Nebula, and that fleshed her out entirely based around the experiences, these horrible experiences that her and Gamora had as children growing up. And there's moments of catharsis and loss, and the entire time, it's literally a super fun ride with, I feel, still one of the best soundtracks in films ever. So again, I don't think out of all this list of mine that it is the best at everything it does, but I think its balance of what I want when I see a movie is perfect. For instance, if other movies have stats like in even a D&D character, like this is like, 18 in this, but like only 9 in this. This is like straight 16s or 15s down the line for my nerdy friends out there. Basically, it does all of its parts in the right proportions, and it made it my favorite film going experience, even when I sat through it in fucking RPX, the worst thing on the planet. It was my favorite film of 2017.
Okay. Well, no, I again, it's not a film that necessarily resonated with me, but again, that's not what this list is about. If we go back to that original tweet, this list is about the things that we gravitate towards. And I, I will say, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was very good. It was a very fine film. Very, I compare it to Hellboy for me, which is that I watched it and I went, yeah, these are great. Not quite for me, but yeah, these are great. I'm curious what films you're excited about this year. I'm guessing one starts with an A and ends with a Avengers.
Sure, Infinity War is a given, but I don't even want to talk about Infinity War because there's a far stronger, probably property coming out before then in February, and that is Black Panther.
Okay,
Black Panther. I'm trying to pull a little bit of Shahir out of my hat and not watch every additional scene and like added thing that comes out in the press junket for this film.
Yeah,
it's hard. I want to watch everything.
Yeah,
I think I
can tell you how you can do that. I have a way.
Don't do it.
No, wait till February and watch the whole movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen the trailer. I've seen two.
But
of
I'm
the
just
trailers.
saying that's the way you do it. Is just wait till the movie comes out.
But there's an addiction thing to it. There's an addiction thing to trailer culture, especially with you and I. I think it's kind of important that one of us watches these trailers to talk about.
And I will watch a trailer for movies that I know nothing about. I will.
Sure.
I will usually cut them off at some point, but I will watch like just
to
enough
get the gist.
Just to get the gist if it's something I want to see.
What about you? What are you psyched for 2018?
I don't know. Like I'm looking at a lot of best of lists this year, and it is all like sequels and like it's all sequels, it's all franchises.
How many sequels and franchises was on our list? A bunch on mine, but I think yours probably had less.
I think on mine, and what was interesting about this year as well. This is the most crossover we've had this year with 5 films crossing over. Yeah. I think I had 1 franchise,
and 6 of mine were non-franchise.
So you had 4 franchises.
Yeah. That's okay. That's growth.
Yeah. I'm excited for Alex Garland's films Annihilation.
I'm hopeful.
I haven't seen a trailer for it yet. I loved Ex Machina so much, and I think he's a great writer.
Yep.
I think I have a good guest lined up for that episode as well.
Good.
And then Wes Anderson has Isle of Dogs. You could argue that
Isle of Dogs is going to be great.
But you could argue that is kind of a franchise for me, like the Wes Anderson extended universe.
Sure.
That's about it at this stage. I'm sure there's plenty of films that are going to come out towards the back end of the year that I'm going to be super psyched about.
I'm psyched if this Cloverfield film comes out.
The God Particle, that's going to be possibly just releasing straight to Netflix.
Yeah.
I think 10 Cloverfield Lane appeared on one of my top 10 lists.
Yeah.
And I again, that's a franchise film done right.
That's an anthology, and I love it.
Yeah. No, it's really, really great.
But yeah, I mean, I guess that's it now, right? I mean, this has been the only podcast about our year in review of the reviews of the year.
Yeah.
Thank you for indulging us, everybody. And thank you, everybody who contributed, who talked to us for this thing, who writes us in constantly and engages with us on social media. It is an absolute privilege to be able to discuss films with all of you. And I'm looking forward to 2018 and doing more of it.
And also, write us in right now if you think we're completely bonkers with our fluid, concrete list of the best of films. What did we miss? What should we have seen? There's a bunch of films that I wish we'd seen.
Sure.
Write us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at onlymoviepod. Please leave us those iTunes reviews as well. Those are very helpful. Thank you, Chuck Finley.
Yes.
This week, Superstar of the Week.
Superstar.
And we will be back with our regular programming. What was it, next week?
Next week. That's what we do. Shahir,
yeah, we never miss a week.
Shahir, that's one thing. We are consistent. Shahir, when we are busy being consistent, where can folks find you?
People can find me consistently on my website, www.shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD, which has links to my Instagram, Twitter. What else do I do? I don't know. I don't do anything.
All your stuff.
Yeah, all my stuff is on there. Matt, how about you? When you are not hardening concrete lists that you can chisel into stone and hang up on your wall, thus destroying a load-bearing wall and brings the entire house down, crashing underneath the weight of Guardians of the Galaxy. Could people find you homeless on your website?
They can at MatthewKroll.com and MatthewKroll.com for my life and works. Also, Skeletor, the number 4, PREZ on Instagram, or Emperor MSK on Twitter. And also, check out live streaming still, my friends, on Twitch Thursday nights, 8 p.m. James and I are talking actually sometimes some science fiction stuff, but then we do Friendship Watch at 9, where we take the toxicity out of the community. There's been a lot of sort of exciting developments in the Only podcast universe ourselves. We have some announcements coming up soon for possibly secondary shows or things going on like that. So there's lots of things going on, Shahir.
Right, lots of things. Yeah, lots of stuff. It's going to be an exciting year.
It will be.
Will it?
It'll be exciting.
Or it'll be the end of the world. I don't know. Who knows?
Isn't the end of the world exciting?
Depends which side of it you're on.
It's still exciting whether or not it's good.
I'm planning to be on one of those spaceships, right? Those spaceships that are going up into space, interstellar style.
Sure.
That's happening, right?
I was going to go
Did you get the memo? You didn't get the memo?
I was going to go Wall-E style.
You didn't get the email?
Or 2012 style.
Did you get the email?
What email? I got to go back and check.
Maybe I'm not allowed to tell you.
Shut up. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.